Hello everybody and welcome back to A Fictional Escapist. Today I'm going to be telling you all about 8 series that I want to read in 2022. Now I know I'm a little bit late to this game, we are entering into February, but that being said I had some crossover from December in 2021 through to January of 2022 when I was finishing up a couple of series. So these are the 8 series that I want to start and hopefully complete in 2022. I'm not super worried if I have a little bit of crossover again into 2023, but the aim is to complete them all this year. Before I jump into the list, I will say they are predominantly fantasy. I've got 77. I've got 7 fantasy series and 1 non-fantasy series on this list to get to. Another thing to note is a lot of them are backlist fantasy series. I only started to love reading again about 18 months ago, and I had an excellent 2022. I fell back in love with reading. It's just something that's not taken over my life, but something that I very much love and enjoy doing, and that's why I'm here. Anyway, I digress. So you may have read these series already because they are backlisted with the exception of 2 who've had the last book come out very recently. If you haven't read these series and you are wanting to, you are more than welcome to join me. I'll pop down my reading schedule for these 8 down below and let's see if we can stick to it. First series I'm going to be picking up this year is the Unhewn Trilogy by Brent. First book being The Way of the Shadows. The perfect killer has no friends, only targets. This is a series that's been on my radar for a long time. My father-in-law lent me the first book probably about 6 months ago, and it's been sitting here collecting dust, so it is time for me to jump into that one. I believe we're following a protagonist called Kyla Stern, formerly known as Azoth, as they navigate a new assassin-y world. It sounds pretty cool. It's been on my radar for a little while. Brent as an author has been on my radar for quite a while, and I haven't read anything else by them. If I like this one, I'll pick up the Lightbringer series, I think it's called, but that will be somewhere in the future. The next series that I will be starting in the month of February will be the Greenbone Saga by Fonda, starting of course with Jade City. Now this is a bit of a booktube darling in terms of fantasy. From what I gather, a lot of people have read it, a lot of people have loved it. I didn't know too much about it, except I've heard the words Godfather-esque fantasy and multi-generational feud with Jade as the center of their magic system, and I was instantly like, I need to pick that one up. That is going to be a series that I consume via audio, and because I believe it is urban fantasy-esque, which is a little bit easier for my brain to comprehend when listening to, so I'm going to be listening to that one. The next one up on the list is the Book of the Ancestor by Mark Lawrence, starting with Red Sister. I know relatively nothing about this series. I know that some readers that I follow haven't liked it, and it makes me a little bit nervous because I tend to lean towards their tastes quite a bit, these readers that I'm talking about. But I also heard Assassin Nuns and thought, Assassin Nuns, I've got to at least give it a go. So I'm going to give it a go. That is one of the, in terms of page length, the shorter series that I've got on this list for this year. So that one will slot in basically when I have some wiggle room, essentially. Yeah, I know nothing about it. Moving on. The next one that I want to pick up, which will be later in the year, is the Shades of Magic Trilogy by V.E. Schwab, or Victoria Schwab. I believe they're going by V.E. now on all of their works. I know relatively nothing about V.E. Schwab or the works that they've put out. It's just that I follow them on Instagram and am very impressed and appreciative of the honesty behind the account in terms of the writing process and the pressure that she's feeling when writing and trying to get books out, and she's a multimedia author, which is something cool. So I'd like to check out something by her, and the Shades of Magic trilogy is the one that I've heard the most about, so I'm going to be picking that one on up. The next one on the list is the Poppy War, an Asian military-inspired fantasy. I believe our main character, Rin, is orphaned by a war and then basically seeks to cause their own devastation. I, again, don't know too much about it. You're probably going to hear me say that a lot. I don't like to know too much going into my books because I like to experience it for myself. I'm a very visual reader, so being able to go into it relatively blind and build it up for myself is something special in my head. But I love Asian-inspired fantasy. It is probably one of my favourite sub-genres within the realm of fantasy. So I'm really excited to pick this one up. I have heard that it's devastating, and I do love a bit of devastation. I like those hard-hitting topics, so I'm really looking forward to this one. It is chunky. It does get bigger as it goes along, so that will be one where I focus on maybe only 1 or 2 series in that reading block of months. When I get to the Poppy War, I'd say that will be later on in the year. But like I said, check below. I'll have the reading schedule there if you want to see it. Next up, we have the Broken Earth Trilogy by N.K. Jemisin. I saw an ad for a masterclass with N.K. Jemisin at the head, and the ad had me captivated as she was talking about her writing, or writing in general, to teach a class. So I immediately went, I need to read something by this person, because, you know, just hearing them speak about worlds is cool, and I just wanted to pick it up. I believe it's behind me. Give me 1 second. So, like with Darker Shades of Magic, the Broken Earth Trilogy is the one that I've heard the most about, and the back says, it starts with the Great Red Rift. It starts with death. And it starts with betrayal. Which sounds great. I've heard very good things about this first book. I know that some people don't like the second and the third book as much, but I love me a trilogy, so I picked up all 3, and we're going to give them a go. Okay, the last fantasy on this list is Books with Brittany. If you ever watch this, you win. You win. I've heard about it enough on your channel, so I bought it. My father-in-law is reading it at the moment. I'm going to read it next. And that is the Chronicles of the Unhewn Throne by Brian Staveley. This series has been hyped for me by a couple of readers, not just Brittany, that I trust in terms of reading taste, particularly fantasy reading taste. And I believe it's about 3 siblings who go home once their father passes away, and they all have different skills, and they need to work together to basically stop an empire from crumbling. It does sort of sound like it's up my alley. It wasn't on my radar, but now it very much is, and I'm looking forward to diving in later in the year. And finally, we made it to the end. The one series that I have on this list that is not a fantasy series is the Millennium Trilogy by Stieg Larsson. Now, I know that there is a 4th book. I have been told by multiple people, finish at book 3. It's a trilogy. Leave it at that. Don't sort of go on and read the 4th book that came out that wasn't written by Larsson, and to save my brain and my time. So I'm going to treat it as a trilogy, basically. One follows Mikkel Blomkvist and Lisbeth Salander as they strive to solve a 30-plus-year-old mystery. I will be honest, I'm about 30% of the way through with this one. I'm loving it so far. It is doing such a good job at layering the different aspects of this mystery, that me as the reader is like, I need to know what happens next. I need to know the next piece of this puzzle as we're going. And Lisbeth Salander is just, I don't know, if you've read these books, like, if you know, you know, she's just probably one of my favourite characters that I've read so far this year. It's just like, she knows what she wants. It's fine. And that is it for the 8-book series that I want to start and hopefully complete by the end of 2022. If you like this, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more, you know what to do. Click the subscribe button, and I'll catch you next time. Ciao.